Okay, this is a late video, and I have to give credit where credit is due. Rob Liefeld deserves a round of applause for this one. He pointed out something that I knew nothing of. I promise you, I did not know this existed. I missed this. I got out of the comic book collecting scene from the time of 1998 all the way up until I can't remember if it was 2012 or the beginning of 2013. I really don't remember when I picked back up. It might have been the end of 2012, maybe. It might have even been 2011. Somewhere in that time frame, I started collecting again. I had a traveling job at the time. So that was, I kind of started getting into some of the digital comics a little bit, mainly because I was traveling a lot, right? So you don't want to be carrying comic books around with you while you're traveling. So I did purchase when I was home physical copies, but I also purchased a lot of digital copies on Comixology. And that was kind of new to me. I like it somewhat, but I'm a physical dude, and I think I've brought this up before. But anyway, John Byrne, who I believe, Don, if you're listening, say something in the comments. I believe you said he did one of your favorite runs of Superman, Man of Steel. I'm gonna check his Wikipedia, but I'm pretty sure that's what you said before. But anyway, John Byrne did a run of X-Men completely for free as a work of fan fiction and released it page by page on his website, johnbyrnerobotics.com, which I tried to go to that website and I do not believe it is up anymore. But there's a forum, I think it's m.johnbyrnerobotics.com, and they have the pages from this X-Men Elsewhen run that he did, and you can go on there and see them. But when I found out about this, I was like, wait, what? Let me go check this out. And man, let me tell you. So John Byrne's right now, if I'm not mistaken, he's 74 years old. So that would mean he would have had to have done these panels when he was in his late 60s up until, like his 70th birthday, somewhere around that time, because he started in 2019 and he was done in, I think they said 2021, 2022, and he did 30. There's conflicting reports online. There's 30. Some people say 31 and some people say 32 issues. I could only find 31. So I'm not sure which one of those are correct. I have to keep looking. But man, I'm like, yo, this is a man that was truly excited about comic books. There was some kind of snafu between him and Marvel, and he said, you know what? I'm putting these books out anyway. I'm just putting it out as a work of fan fiction. And again, shout out to Rob Liefeld. I would have never known about this. I'm sure at some point I might have discovered this in passing, but man, what a find. Now, it's all in black and white. But before I get into looking over at least issue 1, I'm going to get into what Goodreads has to say about this comic, and I believe they have a really good synopsis. It says, X-Men Elsewhen begin as an aborted project by by Byrne at Marvel, similar to what Claremont did with his X-Men Forever series. However, when negotiations between Byrne and Marvel fell through, Byrne decided to create Elsewhen as a free work of fan fiction. Elsewhen explores an alternate timeline in the Marvel Universe, branching off with the end of the Dark Phoenix Saga. In the Elsewhen universe, the Dark Phoenix Saga ended with the original Claremont-Byrne ending that was shown in Phoenix, The Untold Story. Instead of sacrificing herself to save the universe, Phoenix was lobotomized after the X-Men lost their battle with the Imperial Guard. The issues are published as black and white pages, fully written, illustrated, and lettered by Byrne, and they are a fascinating read when taken as a whole. And this is crazy. The fact that this man did this entire thing, pencils, story, letters, this is all him. That's, in my humble opinion, that is pretty incredible when you think about it. Like I know I couldn't do something like that. And maybe this is just an outgrowth of him being in the industry for so long. We'll read a little bit about John Byrne on Wikipedia. Now, Wikipedia can't always be trusted, so a lot of times you'll have to, go source some of this information. But I believe much of what's said on here can be trusted about Mr. Byrne. Born in 1950 in Staffordshire, England. Okay, it says John Lindley Byrne, born July 6, 1950, is a British-born American comic book writer and artist of superhero comics since the mid-1970s. Byrne has worked on many major superheroes, with a noted work on Marvel Comics, X-Men, and Fantastic Four. Byrne also facilitated the 1986 relaunch of DC Comics' Superman franchise with the limited series The Man of Steel. Okay, I was correct about that. The first issue of which featured the comic's first variant cover. Coming into the comics profession as a penciler, inker, letterer, and writer on his earliest work, Byrne began co-plotting the X-Men comics during his tenure on them for story arcs including Dark Phoenix Saga, Days of Future Past, two epic stories, and co-creating characters such as Kitty Pryde, Emma Frost, Sabretooth, Shadow King, and Rachel Summers. Byrne launched his writing career in earnest with Fantastic Four, also serving as penciler and inker, and added She-Hulk onto the team while writing a solo series for The Thing. While working on X-Men, he created the Canadian superhero team Alpha Flight and later wrote and drew their own series. Yo, this is a man of many talents, and I wonder if it has a list of all of the books he worked on. It might not. It might not. I know sometimes Wikipedia does do a good job of chronicling this stuff, but when you have a man that's been in the industry for this long, I'm sure, and especially look at his age, if he could put out all of those books in a 2-year span, like 31 issues, yo, that's no small task. That is no small task. If you've ever drawn anything in your life, if you ever attempted to get into comic books, you would understand this is no small task. It's no small feat. What he did drawing these books, absolutely outstanding. And I'm going to show you some of his work. I'm just trying to get down here. So this is, I don't know if this is the characters he created or comic books he were. Comic books. Charlton Comics, Beetle Bailey, Doomsday, E-Man, Emergency, The Flintstones, Korg, 70,000 BC, Space 1999, Valley of the Dinosaurs, Willie and the Chopper Bunch, Dark Horse Comics, John Byrne, 2112, 1991, Danger Unlimited, John Byrne, Next Men, Babe, Hellboy, Seed of Destruction, Babe 2, DC Comics, Action Comics, and it shows all of the issues there, 584, 600. He was a writer, artist, 1987 and 1988, number 827 to 835, artist, 2005 to 2006, annual number 1, writer, 1987, annual number 6, writer, artist, 1994, Adventures of Superman, number 426, with Marv Wolfman and Jerry Ordway. So I'm not going to read the whole list, but this dude has worked on a bunch of stuff. Like, this dude is an absolute machine. Yo, I respect it. And of course, I'm familiar with him, but I don't know. I'm not going to lie like I know all of his works. I don't, but this, so let's just go ahead and get into what we were going to be covering. So this is the first issue of X-Men Elsewhen, In the Jungle, the Deadly Jungle. I'm not going to read through it. I'm just going to, show some of the pages and panels and let you appreciate the pencil work of this absolute titan in the industry. And this is incredible. Yo, Marvel really, now think about this. This man was ready to do this for Marvel in 2019. Now, if you know me, you know the X-Men is like one of my favorite teams of all time. My favorite villain of all time is Magneto. There's none greater, if you ask me. That's just my opinion. I know some people disagree. I've had my debates about, who has more power, X, Y, and Z. I just love Magneto. I really like the guy, from his demeanor to his powers to his costume. Yo, that dude is a G. He is a straight gangster. But I love the way John Byrne does his pencil work. It's detailed when needed and not too detailed when not needed. Like, he knows exactly, this is incredible work, man. Like, this is incredible work. Marvel really missed out not having him draw this series in 2019. They should have let him do it. So if you see some of these panels, so this is what I like. There's certain artists, and if you've never drawn anything, you don't really notice small things. Like, some artists, when items get really small, they kind of do like almost like a blurred effect with the camera, where they will show some of these things, but it will be kind of obscure. So they don't really have to put much work into that detail. But if you see right here, like I believe this is, I think this is Colossus back here, right in front of Nightcrawler. And if you look at that and you see his hand, the detail that John Byrne put in his hand right there's like just enough detail to be exactly right. And I'm going to tell you what else I like. I think this is just personal preference. This is not a gripe. This is just personal preference, just letting you know. I think in modern comics, sometimes there is this idea that all women have to be drawn muscle bound. And John Byrne, even in this era, he avoided that. Now, you can obviously tell that Storm is a little more muscular than Kitty Pryde over here, but I think this is like the way he's drawing this. I like it. He draws the women in a certain way and he draws the men in a certain way. Obviously, men and women have different physiques. There are muscular women. I'm not saying that they're not, but I like the fact that he stuck to his guns. He stuck to his art style and he didn't attempt to do something different. And like I said, detail where detail is needed. You see when Kitty Pryde opens her mouth, she's, phasing through the X-Men jet and she's kind of, caught off guard. And you see the way he drew the detail in her nose and her mouth with her chin. I know these are like obscure things that you probably don't really care about. And then right next to that panel, you see the foot and how the foot is drawn, and you see the indent in the heel and how the foot comes back up to the I can't remember what that's called, right on the other side of the shin, right where it meets the bottom of your foot. Anyway, the level of detail, Cyclops sitting in the seat as he's looking back, you see the detail in the back of the seat and how the seat is constructed, and it kind of blurs into the edge of that panel. Yo, this is masterful work, man. This guy's done some masterful work. And what he does with wide open spaces, I'm going to show you. Yo, I say this, I judge every person drawing the X-Men on what they do with Wolverine. And what John Byrne does with Wolverine is special. I like the way he looks. Even when you see in this one panel on the bottom where you see Wolverine's facial expression, yo, this man still got it. And from what I hear, as he started cooking in the other books, I heard that it got even better. I heard that when you get to Elsewhen, like issue number 10, John Byrne took it to, I keep wanting to say Burns. John Byrne took it to another level, and it's even better. Yo, that is incredible that this dude still has it like this, man. I'm telling you, I love this. I love this art, man. I love this art. I can't imagine what this would look like all inked. Oh my goodness, and colored, especially with the advancement in comic book coloring that we have now versus, what we had on some of his original works. Yo, that's crazy. And I tell you what, I've been buying a lot of these Marvel reissues of their old books. And I've said it before. I know it's a money grab. Look, I get it. I know it's a money grab, but I love those old books. And the fact that I get to have a copy of these things, yo, I'm all for it. But the way you see the detail in Cyclops right here at the bottom where he's pointing off to Colossus behind him, yo, man, the detail in all of the forestry behind them, and this is all pencil work, but yet you can still tell what's going on. Yo, man, I don't know if many people can do pencil work with this level of detail and it be this good. I'm not saying it's impossible, right? Clearly there's great artists, but man, John Byrne, even at his age, to still be this sharp is crazy. The way he does depth of field, yo, man, this right here, these books are gonna make me want to pick up the pencil again because it reminds me of when I was younger and I used to check out the book How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way. And I believe some of Byrne's work was in that book. I have to buy a copy of that book. I might go to Amazon and buy a copy of that book because I haven't seen it in so long. And it's still, I'll tell you, if you want to be self-taught, if you don't want to go to a school and you want to know how to really get to it, the basics of drawing in a way that's going to really have you, getting and understanding the mechanics and the physics of human physiology and objects and spatial orientation, yo, How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way is a great book. Now, obviously, there's different techniques and methods that have been developed, and I guess you'd say discovered since that book has been released, but it's still, in my humble opinion, it's still a great book for beginning artists, and I'm super rusty. My art will probably be juvenile right now, so I might buy a copy of that book again. Anyway, this pencil work, man, look at the detail and this face and the face right here. This is Carl Lycos. And you see his hair looks wild. He looks disheveled. And you can tell all of this. And I've said this before, a good artist tells a story with his art. And you see that here. I'm loving this, man. This is some absolutely great work, man. I wish, when I saw this, I thought to myself, I wish that we would really focus, or artists would really focus on this level of intricate detail today. And a lot of artists do. I'm not trying to rag on all, newer artists. There's a lot of great artists. I know there's a lot of guys. Ghost Machine Comics, bruh. Ghost Machine Comics has some of the best art in the game. Rook Exodus, every time I open one of those books, I'm just like, my goodness, these spreads. Impeccable. Incredible art. Gets me excited about comic books again. I love stuff like that. But you see Professor X sitting in this seat, and you see the level of detail in the shadowing and the wheels and how he's sitting. You get a sense of what's going on when he's on the phone right here in this panel. He's kind of lean, like, huh? Like, what are you talking about? And you get a sense of all that. And then in this bottom panel where you see Jean now lobotomized with her, if I remember correctly, because I was reading through this yesterday, with her sister, and, just playing around like a kid. The level of detail, you see her, I think that's her husband, Jean's brother-in-law, on the phone, and he's kind of concerned. They were voicing their concerns about, what if she, flips out again. Powers come back. Then what? We're worried about our kids. All of this stuff is so incredible. And look, there are small things that impress me about art. And one of those small things, and I like I said, depth of field, shadowing. The way he does his shadows on Professor X's face, look, it takes a special kind of dude to understand how to do some of this stuff. This is not small change. I know this is a late video. I was up late. I was thinking about this. Yeah, I could post it on Saturday, but what the heck? It's going to be killed by the algorithm. I'm not really concerned with that at the moment. I'm just excited about this work right here. Like I listened to the Robservations podcast last episode, and I couldn't believe I wasn't following him on Apple Podcasts. I had to follow him because I was like, why am I not following this? Like, I knew he had a podcast. He had launched a podcast, but I wasn't following it. I love listening to a lot of the OGs in the comic book game both talk, and I like watching them draw as well. But yeah, just the detail in this is so good. You see this scene right here where they're in the living room with their kids, the shadowing he did on the husband's legs. So you kind of, the way he does the shadowing, even with just pencils, it makes your eye focus on certain things. I get hype about art, if you couldn't tell. And the story is good. The story is really good. So then you see, I don't know how much you can make it out, obviously, because it's a light pencil work and it's not inked. But you see Kitty Pryde, she's kind of stuck like under some dirt, right? Like she phased through this stuff and she's kind of stuck. I don't know what's going on with her at the moment. I didn't read through the whole book. And then she comes up on this, what looks like a man-made structure. And they're in the Savage Lands, by the way, if you wanted to know. But yeah, the way he does all of this artwork, man, I like this so much. I really geek out over technical art. This is why I love Kanan White's art so much, because it is so exceptionally technical. And I notice these things. Like when I see his work, I can look at one of his panels and I'm like, I know exactly what you were going for here. That's hard for some artists to do. John Byrne can do that. He can do that. He drew this panel right here, this last panel right here with Kitty Pryde sideways, but I could tell she's falling. Like the way he angled the panel above her, the way he drew, this is a special skill. I don't know if I would ever be able to do this, even if I started right now and practice every day. Yeah, that takes some work. And of course, you see her phasing through that little grate that she was landed on. And you see her coming into this facility. And you kind of get a sense of spatial awareness. And that's what really, it blew my mind, because I'm looking at this and it's just pencils. I'm like, there's no way I'm going to get a sense of spatial awareness with all this. No, you actually do. You actually do. And I like the fact that you kind of see where, like, if you look at this panel right here with Colossus on the top right, it's finished, but you could tell it will look even better. And it looks good. Don't get me wrong, it looks good, but it would look even better once it was finished and inked, and you can kind of tell what it would look like. It's almost like John Byrne is holding the hand of whoever will ink it, right? And just saying, yeah, this is how you ink this right here. They would know exactly what to do. This is incredible, man. This is incredible work. You see Colossus smashing some stuff. The way John Byrne does action is superb, because you feel the action. This is something that some newer artists, and I notice this, they struggle with. I read some newer books and their art is good, but they struggle with conveying action as it should be conveyed. And this is masterful work. You see in this last panel where Colossus gets blasted. Man, I really like this. I really like this. This was like Christmas came early when I found out about this. And Rob Liefeld said, for those of you who are listening to my podcast and just found out about this, you're in for a treat. Look, this is an absolute treat right here. Again, the artistic value of this right here. Look, something like this for somebody who wants to get into comic book artistry, just artistry in general. These books in black and white as they are can be studied like a textbook. I think this work, X-Men Elsewhen, needs to be put in a comic book art textbook, the whole thing. And it needs to be broken down by professional artists, panel by panel. You could probably do a whole semester of an art class on comic book art just on these books. 31 books. Like I said, some people say 32. I was only able to find 31 of them. Great art. The way he does the detail or the lack thereof in the teeth when, Colossus has his mouth open, clearly, screaming about something. And he gives you just enough detail that you really don't need more. You could add more detail. Some artists, and this is where you take liberty, right? Some artists will do a panel like this and they will draw a lot of detail within the mouth, like with the teeth separating each tooth. And some artists will take liberty like John Byrne has done right here. And to be honest with you, it gives you a more full feel of the teeth in the mouth. Now, I know a lot of this is probably inside baseball for some people, but when I tell you I love art, I love art. I love art. This panel of Wolverine right here, of course, as far as X-Men is concerned, my favorite X-Man is Wolverine. But my favorite person in the X-Men universe and mythos is Magneto, period. Magneto is my guy. If somebody wanted to know, what could I get Brooke Nom if you wanted to get me something, it would be something with Magneto on it. That's what it would be. I'm telling you, that's what it would be. So anyway, yeah, this is a magnificent work right here. I was so excited to find this. I was listening to Liefeld's podcast and I was thinking to myself, no way, this is not a thing. And when I looked it up, I was like, come on, this is great. This is great. You see the detail in this right here? Where you see this transformation? Yo, man, the action, the lines, the detail work. Wolverine, of course, like I said before, Wolverine is that dude. And to see how Byrne drew Wolverine and captured his savagery, because these characters have personalities. And sometimes artists don't really capture the personality of the character as they should. And you really miss a lot when you don't get that personality captured correctly. Yeah, Byrne did it. He did it. Man, you see this shocked look on Storm's face right here? Man, she got caught in a trance. Marvelous work. Marvelous work. And you see, like I said before, you see Storm, she looks more muscular, definitely, than Kitty Pryde, because Kitty Pryde obviously is a teenager. If I'm not mistaken, in these books, she's a teenager in her late teens, like maybe 18, 19. Somebody in the comments correct me if you're more familiar with the age of Kitty Pryde around that Dark Phoenix Saga. I'm pretty sure she's late teens. But you see Storm, definitely more muscular, but not overly muscular. Like I said, John Byrne, he does the female figure in a way where you can tell, okay, she's nothing to be played with, but she still keeps that feminine physique. You know who else does a good job with that? Deborah Corita and that Yaira book, which, by the way, I will be returning to the Yaira book to finish covering that, but I will do it later on. I created a playlist on my channel for the Gooding review, and I created one for the Yaira review as well. And I think I might go back through my channel and, organize some of my videos by different playlists, but that'll come later. Anyway, this art. But there's one panel I wanted to get to where he drew Kitty Pryde in this big space. And man, even with the pencil work, I could tell, even with no color, yeah, this is really good. Really good. And you can't see on the bottom of the page, but on the bottom of the page, it says byrnerobotics.com. But like I said, that website, I went to that website and it did not work. I don't know if I was typing it wrong, but the I think it's M. John Burns Robotics. I'll post it in the comments or in the description. So yeah, again, the panel work, this dude is just drawing this whole thing out, illustrating everything, the whole story laid out, did all the lettering. I love the way he did the lettering where it's like the pencil work is kind of not rough, like it's fully finished, but it's like muted compared to the lettering in black and white. Yo, man, I don't know if this was enhanced and done by somebody later on. It might have been. But if it was done by him, yo, man, kudos. This is good work. Good work. This man is a master on the job. Just scrolling through some of these panels. Let me see if I can get to that one panel with Kitty Pryde in that. Oh, yeah, here it goes. This right here, I was like, how in the world with no color do I get the full emotion of this picture with no color, just pencils, and I understand the immensity and what's going on? This is good work, and the sheer detail and magnitude. I was so excited. I am so happy about this. I wish more artists would do stuff like this. Right? Like release books and just draw something and just release it. Just for the fans, right? Like do this just for the fans. And here's what's funny. This is what Rob Liefeld said because he's not working with Marvel anymore. He said, you know what? John Byrne showed us the way. He said, if I want to do a cool Deadpool story, or maybe I want to do an X-Men story, I'm just going to draw it and release it on my own website, own form as fan fiction. No paid subscriptions or anything. Just release it as fan fiction art. I'm like, oh man, could this usher in a golden era for the comics that we love? It possibly could. It possibly could. Again, if you haven't looked it up, it is, or if you don't know, it is John Byrne, X-Men, Elsewhen, and it is definitely worth your time. I plan on, Lord willing, going through all of these books and reading every single one because this is some premium stuff. It's almost like you're getting to see a behind the scenes or how the cake is baked, and I love it, man. This was an awesome, I can't even say it was an awesome find or discovery. This was a great thing for Rob Liefeld to bring attention to. Thank you, sir.